Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So today we're going to be doing a tag that I've been seeing so many of the booktubers that I watch doing, and I want to give it a go. So this is the anti-TBR tag. So basically a bunch of books that I have no interest in reading. And I've been finding it really interesting watching my favourite booktubers say the books that they're not interested in and things that they're not a fan of. It's quite fun. So this book tag has 8 questions, I think. And so we'll just go through them one by one, and I'll give you my spin on it. So question number 1 is a popular book that you have no interest in reading. Now, this one could be quite controversial because everybody that I've seen that has read this book raves about it, but I have no interest in reading Daisy Jones and the Sixth. So yeah, I've heard so many people love this book. I do plan on reading the other book by Taylor Jenkins Reid, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I do plan on reading that one, but Daisy Jones just doesn't interest me at all. I think it's about a band, and them touring? I don't really know. I have actually watched so many wrap-ups with this book in it, and I kind of switch off because it just holds no appeal for me at all. I'm not interested. I'm not really interested in finding out much about bands and singers and that I do like. So I have no interest in finding out about a story about a fictional band because it just does nothing for me. So despite the positive reviews that this book has gotten, I doubt I will ever pick it up. There's just so much more other things that I would much rather read. I just don't think that one's for me. So question number 2 is a classic book or author that you have no interest in reading. So classics aren't really my thing. I've read a couple and I don't know, I really enjoy kind of books set either in modern times or in like a fantastical world. I don't know, classics just don't hold a lot of appeal for me. There are a few that I am interested in reading, but that's not what this tag's about. I suppose one that I would say that I doubt I will ever pick up would be War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. That book is massive, absolutely massive, and I don't have the patience to read a book that huge unless I'm desperate to read it. And yeah, I watched I'm sure it was the BBC that did an adaptation of War and Peace, and I really enjoyed it. And I now have even less desire to pick up that enormous book. The only reason I would read it would be to literally check it off my list of books you should read before you die. And there's not many books on those kinds of lists that I've got a massive drive to read, I won't lie. So I'm going to put that one down there just because, no. But yeah, to be honest, you could name quite a lot of classics. I'm not interested in reading. I can't say I've got a huge drive to read Charles Dickens or J.D. Salinger or Herman Melville or no, they just don't hold much interest for me, to be honest. So pretty much the whole genre, bar a handful. But that's the one I'm gonna name here. So question number 3 is a problematic author that I have no interest in reading their books. Now, this one, I don't really have an answer for this one, to be honest. I'm not usually aware of issues of authors being problematic. There are a couple of this year that you'd have to be living under a rock not to know about. But no, to be honest, if I pick up a book and I want to read it, I'm probably going to read it despite who the author is. I don't find it difficult really to separate their works from the person, I suppose. Okay, you could argue you don't want to like financially support them or anything like that, and that's fair. I'm not going to go out seeking problematic authors to read, but yeah, I mean, I did even search a list of problematic authors to see if there was anything that popped out that I could be like, oh yeah, I wouldn't read that. But to be honest, a lot of them they kind of fall back into the classic kind of genre. Like C.S. Lewis and I don't know why that's the only one that's popping. I don't know why that's the only one that's popped back into my brain. I literally searched it before doing this video. To be honest, the ones on the list that I found, I would have no interest in reading the books anyway, but not because of the author. They're just, the books in general had no interest for me. So I don't think I would not read a book because of the author, is my answer to that question. So yeah, so I have no answer to this question. So question number 4 is an author that you've tried a couple of their books and you just don't think their writing is for you. So for me, I think I'm going to give a couple of answers here. I'm going to say Rainbow Rowell. I've read a couple of her books and I just don't think they're for me, as the question goes. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of her books. And I have looked at a few more titles and yeah, I just don't have a particular drive to read any of them. And the ones I have read are just a bit average for me. So I will say her. And also another one who's a little bit controversial, I'm afraid. My boyfriend, one of his favourite authors and book series is Discworld by Terry Pratchett. And he tried to convince me to read it because, I mean, he reads it and he laughs out loud and he loves it so much. And I've heard so many other booktubers talk about it. And I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. I love fantasy, but I just don't get the humour. Like, it's just not my humour. I tried to read it. I tried to read a couple of the books and no, they just do nothing for me. Like, the parts where I think he would be like creasing with laughter, I'd be like, okay, kind of funny, but just doesn't make me belly laugh the way that it does for him. So unfortunately, I don't think I'm a Terry Pratchett fan. Much respect to Terry Pratchett, but no, his books are just not for me. So unfortunately, that's my answer to that one. So question number 5 is a genre that I don't have any interest in reading, or one that I've tried and can't really get into. I've already covered classics. They're just not for me. They're usually a bit too slow and not my kind of thing. But to give a different answer, I suppose I could say the same for literary fiction. There are very few titles in that genre that I particularly want to read. Yeah, they're just not really my kind of thing. Sometimes women's fiction, really the same. I just need books with a bit more of a hook. And I don't know, I can't say that's a genre that it holds much appeal for me. So we'll go with, say, literary fiction for that. And it's more of a format than a genre, I would say. But graphic novels don't really hold a lot of interest for me. I know they're really getting quite popular. But I'm just not really interested in picking up graphic novels. Just not my kind of thing. I think the artwork's beautiful, and if you love them, then please continue to enjoy. But yeah, I don't know. They're just not something I've ever really been interested in. So question number 6 is a book that I've bought that I know I'm never going to read. So I had a quick look at my bookshelves before this video. I'm going to do a book unhaul kind of video next year and have a wee clear out of the bookshelves. I don't think there's that much I want to get rid of, but it's always good to kind of refresh your memory of what's actually on there and only keep the ones that you really want to have a place on the shelves. So like I say, I had a quick peek before I started to film this video if there's any on there that I know that I'm never going to read, and I found a couple. The first is The Black House by Peter May, and I'll be honest, I don't even remember buying this book. I imagine it'll have been in a charity shop or library sale kind of thing. It's not new. It's a murder mystery type thing, detective. Yeah, something happened on an island in Scotland is pretty much the blurb. I imagine I will have picked this up for a reason. The blurb on the back is not hooking me in. Can't remember particularly why I bought it, and I know that it'll be part of the unhaul that I do later on. I'm never going to read this. And another, which is completely different, is this one. This is Jojo Moyes' The 1+1. So this probably fits into that, maybe literary fiction, or maybe it's a romance. I'm not really sure. This one I think I got because I really enjoyed Me Before You, and I've recently read Me After You, and I really like them, both of them. I think there's still Me left to go. So and I've read another book by this author. I think I went through a little phase after reading Me Before You. I went through a phase of buying books by this author, and I've read The Horse Dancer, and I did not like that. I thought it was a bit rubbish. I won't lie, I bought it because it had horse in the title and on the cover. Didn't like it because the horsey bits weren't realistic enough for me. This is the problem when you read about something you're really passionate about. If they don't do it properly or they get stuff wrong, it's upsetting. So I didn't enjoy that one. I think I gave it a 2 or 3 stars. I can't remember. Probably a 2. This one, yeah, I'm just gonna read the back, or will I? So this one is basically the female character is sort of life's knocked her down. She's got some challenges to face. And then there's another, the guy is sort of a good guy gone bad. Then do they end up together, kind of thing. I'm bored talking about it. I'm not going to read this. I think the Jojo Moyes, I'm not sure how you say her name. I think my love of her writing is just for the Me Before You series and not anything else. So this one will be going as well. So there's 2 books that I bought that I'm never going to read. So question number 7 is a series that I have no interest in reading or one that I started and DNF'd. So I can't think of a series I started and DNF'd because I'm really bad at DNFing. I just power through as much as I can. So I can think of a couple of examples, I suppose. The biggest one I'll give here is probably one that a lot of people have used in this TBR, is Anti-TBR. Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. Like many of us, I've watched the TV show. I enjoyed all up until the ending, like pretty much everyone else. But the time for that series, the interest I had in it has passed. I'm not going to read it. It's not even finished yet, and there's no real clue of when it's ever going to be finished. So I feel like starting that hefty series, having already watched the adaptation and not knowing when the series is ever going to be finished being written, it's just too problematic for me. I'm not gonna read that. So yeah, we're gonna stick with Game of Thrones for that one. The last question number 8, is a new release that I have no interest in reading. Now, when I first saw this TBR going about, my first instinct for this question was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Now, the description of that book is kind of this woman who makes a deal with the devil. She ends up living forever. I think it's to get out of a marriage or get out of a situation she doesn't want to be in. So she becomes immortal, but no one can remember who she is. She just kind of passes through life. She can't make any connections to anyone. She can't leave her mark on the world. And the devil comes back to her like every year to see if she's ready to give in and give him her soul, basically, because her life can't be easy doing what that is. The synopsis of that book really doesn't do much for me. The book is apparently quite sizable. I've not read anything by V.E. Schwab, so I would have said that one has no interest for me. However, every single book channel I watch is raving about this book. So the hype has piqued my interest. So it now no longer stands. So I probably am going to read it. But I feel like I'm only reading it because BookTube is making me. The synopsis is not pulling me in. It's also meant to be very character driven. I'm not a character driven kind of person. I likes a plot. But I can't honestly say that this book is never going to get read because I think I probably will. But that was my initial gut answer to this question. So what I'm going to say instead is The Guest List by, I want to say, Lisa Foley. So this is about a murder that takes place on a remote island. People are there for a wedding, and a murder takes place, and then I think it's like you flip back and forth over the course of a couple of days to find out about the guests and find out more about all the characters, and then like I say, one of them has killed one of the other guests, is what the premise is. When I initially heard about this book, I was interested, but I've listened to quite a few reviews, and it appears that you can be very, very, very far into this book and not actually know who's dead, or have any idea or ability to work out who killed them because you don't know who's dead. I think I'll find the setup of that book very frustrating. So I don't think it's for me. I think I'm going to give that one a miss after watching a few people that I trust saying that about it. Some people like it and say it's got a lot of suspense because you don't find out right until the very, very end. But I think the inability to kind of put any clues together, not even knowing who's dead until the last, 100 pages, 50 pages. I don't know if I can deal with that. So I'm going to use that as my answer for that question. So that is the 8 questions on the anti-TBR tag. Let me know, is there any of these that you have read, that you agree with, that you disagree with? Let's have a chat. If you want to maybe try and talk me into reading any of these. I can imagine there's a couple that people would maybe say that are worth a go despite my reluctance. So this was a really fun video to do. I really enjoyed it. I had wanted to do this tag as soon as I saw some of the other booktubers I watched doing it, so I've had fun having my own little go at it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and hopefully I will see you in another video again soon. Bye!